I do have one. Thanks, Mallory.
What, a pen?
I got two actually. They're just buried in different places. Hate to not have a pen at a meeting.
Oh, we're already
Should we
late.
start? Okay.
What's a quorum?
All right. So I will call the May 3rd Planning Commission meeting to order. Kicking things off, I guess, I'll ask for approval of approval of today's agenda. Is that what we're doing? Oh, okay.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and then I would like to ask for approval of the minutes for the January 4th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Approval for minutes of the March 29th meeting.
I just skipped one.
I did? Oh,
Skipped 18.
January 18th. There's
So moved.
Why are there so many?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, last one. Approval of minutes of the March 29th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right, and then on the agenda tonight, we have some zoning text amendments. Sarah, do you have a staff report or?
Sure.
Okay, great. We'd love to hear it.
It'll be relatively short.
Yeah.
Zoning text amendments require a recommendation from the Planning Commission to the City Council for final approval and a public hearing, which we will have tonight. We did advertise this in the Kansas City Star. They're usually not very exciting, and so not a lot of people here for this tonight. This is a very minor amendment regarding the Burlington Corridor Overlay District. The overlay district has in it both a list of permitted and prohibited uses, but also makes some changes to conditional uses that are allowed or not allowed along the Burlington corridor, and it prohibits temporary parking areas or structures. Our suggested amendment to this is to change that to a conditional use in the central area of the Burlington Corridor Overlay. That would be from 16th Avenue to 23rd Avenue. This is coming at the request of the mayor, who would, and we've had a property owner who is interested in possibly developing a piece of property along this area as a surface parking lot. This would allow them to make an application for that conditional use. It does not approve the conditional use permit itself. So this would allow them to take steps towards that application. In your packet, our staff report reviews the master plan's comments about this area. We would recommend that you approve the resolution attached to recommend this amendment to the City Council.
Does anyone have any questions or comments?
Can I show them kind of the map of what maybe would happen?
Oh, you should open the public hearing at this point.
Thanks. Sorry. I would like to open the public hearing for comment. Anyone would like to talk? Please.
So is this on?
I can hear you.
Okay, good. Mr. Chairman, Mayor, members of the Planning Commission. So my name is Richard Lanning, NT Realty. We're one of the largest property owners in the area of 18th and Burlington and Clay. We also represent the Back family, and they are an owner of a site that's along Buchanan, and it's in between Seaburg Muffler and the little tiny Seaburg Muffler parking lot at 18th and Burlington. And I happen to have David back here. David recently moved here. He's a resident of Kansas City now, and he represents the family. But from our perspective, from NT Realty's perspective, we think it's a good thing to develop that site right now in order to keep people from trespassing on that property. There are large concrete blocks that have been placed there. So it's really unsightly, and there is a need for parking. In fact, we've worked out a deal with the city to allow, the bars and restaurants to use part of our parking at 1828 Swift. So we believe there's a real need there. I know the Backs want to enhance that property, develop it, and so we are very much in favor of that, and I'd like to introduce David Back, member of the family.
Welcome to the community.
Thank you. Thank you. Evening. Really excited about working with you guys to develop the property. We've been looking forward to doing something with it since we had to take down the building, which you guys know about. So if you have any questions, I mean, feel free to ask, but we're looking forward to providing a good service for the people in the area.
Can I show them this map of what the...
Sure, you can show them. That's just a general plan
Yeah.
right there. We just completed a survey. We completed the field work on the survey. We don't actually have the survey document yet. Sarah was kind enough to provide some guidance for design.
And right now, you said it's just vacant with some large concrete blocks kind
It
of
is.
preventing people from accessing it.
Yes, for liability purposes and otherwise.
How is that site zoned? I don't know if the report mentioned it. I can't recall.
That site in particular is zoned C2. It's our downtown zoning district. This amendment, though, would apply to the central area of the Burlington Corridor Overlay District, which extends from 16th Avenue to 23rd Avenue and includes all property that falls within a 150 feet of the Burlington center line.
I have a question. Tell me about the word temporary. Why does it say temporary parking? Is that, I'm just, because that's bothers me a little bit. Temporary parking areas or structure. Well, first of all, structures are not temporary.
Right, so I will say that I do not care for this wording, which
Okay.
has been in the ordinance for quite a while. Because what is temporary? And isn't all parking sort of temporary in a way? And we could have a philosophical discussion about this, Dave. But the way that we have interpreted this is that any surface parking or parking structures are temporary in terms of the cars come on a temporary basis. So we interpret this as just meaning parking areas.
Oh, okay, so it's not like you expect cars to be parked there 24 hours a day kind of thing.
Well, you could, but the cars themselves aren't being stored there. It's parking, it's not vehicle storage. That's how we interpret that.
Yeah, that is strange
construction.
wording.
It is terrible wording, because it implies that there's somewhere in the city there is permanent parking, and we don't have that in the ordinance.
Yeah.
So the spirit of the wording is the parking is temporary.
The parking is temporary,
necessarily
but the
structure.
use is not.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Life is temporary.
Everything here is temporary. We're all.
That explains it.
Do you have any plans for the future past some parking for this site? Any ideas for what the site might eventually turn into?
Well, excuse me. Well, I mean, right now, we're looking at trying to get the land to do something, as opposed just to it being idle. And we think that the community is developing quite a bit, and when factors change enough, we would like to do something a little more impressive with the land. But we are trying to work with the guidelines that you have, and given the size of the land and the requirements that you have to do for building, we're kind of hemmed in right now of what's possible. And I understand that the whole overlay plan is being adjusted, or there's work to adjust it. I don't know what the time frame is on that, but we're looking forward to seeing what possibilities we can do with it following that adjustment.
Okay, one more question about the word private parking. I mean, Richard, I'm sure he's explained to you that, they have that parking lot and they allow people to use it. Is that kind of what you're thinking is? It's
Which
your
one?
parking lot, but it's going to be usable?
Yeah, right now it's closed off, so nobody parks there. And this would be a pay lot similar to Kansas City. So there would be a fee that would be charged to use the lot. So it's going to be an income-producing property for the backs until a higher and better use comes along. And hopefully, you know, there will be some changes to the permanent ordinance, you know, for the downtown district that, you know, may be a little bit more development-friendly. So when a higher and better use does come along, then I'm sure that the backs would consider some other kind of development there.
I have one more question.
Go ahead, good.
Sarah and Mallory, are there other parcels in the central area that we're talking about for this text amendment that you anticipate other people wanting to create parking? Or I'm just wondering why the whole central area and not just do a special use permit for this site?
We couldn't accept an application for a conditional use permit
Oh,
for the site
okay.
without this amendment.
Oh, okay.
This is what's preventing them from making an application. Anywhere else in the city, they could make an application for
They
this
just- okay.
already, but not in the Burlington corridor. In the central district, most of the lots are already developed.
Okay.
The exception would be the ground owned by Tanemic on the west side of Burlington, just north of the water plant. It's probably the only property in the
Okay.
central area that comes to mind that's undeveloped.
Okay. So this is really specifically for this lot?
Well, but keep in mind, this would apply to the entire central area of the
Right.
overlay district. It's just that practically speaking, they're the only ones likely to
That's what
submit something, but Tanemic could surprise us.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
But for every other lot, well, I guess Seaburg has that tiny one, but it's already parking. Everything else, I think, has a building on it. And so this is about primary use as parking. So if there's a building there and, you know,
Sure.
the parking is considered an accessory.
Right.
And so you could have, you know, a big parking lot next to a smaller building. This does not apply because it's an accessory.
Gotcha.
I think in that little area, there is so much demand for parking, and we recently sold 101 Armour Road to a developer, Tim Harris, out of Liberty. So he's going to redevelop that for commercial and office uses. So, I mean, there's going to be a high demand right there. And frankly, right now, we really can't do anything with that property. And it almost looks like a site in Afghanistan or Iraq, really, with those big concrete boulders. So it's very unsightly, and I think you'd be well pleased with what they have planned for that site. I think it'll be a real enhancement and improvement to that district.
I would correct what I said. There's one other vacant lot at the northeast corner of Burlington and Armour that could possibly,
Oh, yeah.
but pretty much everything else is developed.
Isn't
in
there
that.
kind of already parking right there? Or what? I'm trying to, it's like an
They
empty
occasionally
space.
park
That truck.
a bus
Yeah.
there, but it's not, it has does not have an approved site plan for parking. That is not,
Yeah. That would be kind of an unfortunate site to have a parking lot, obviously. Like, we would hope there'd be something more welcoming for that spot, but that'd be fine because this is just to allow a conditional use permit to come forward. So if there was a conditional use permit that came forward for that site and we decided it wasn't a good match, then we could always vote that down. All right.
I totally agree with Mr. Lanning. You know, I think that basically what we're really hurting for is parking. And it's not like we're building a structure on this or something. You know, if something else decides to do it, it's not hard to take a parking lot out. It's not like taking a building down. So I would highly recommend we at least take the first step.
Any other comments? Staff? Nothing else? Okay. Well, I guess I would like to move to, oh, I have to close the public hearing. Thank you. I'd like to move to close the public hearing. Do we have to vote on that, or? Yeah. Any motions to
So
close the
moved.
public hearing?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then I'd like to put a motion forward to accept?
I'll do
No.
that. I move that resolution number 2018-03 be approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, well,
Thank you very much.
You're very
Appreciate it,
welcome.
guys. Thank you.
See you later, Richard.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the planning commission meeting.
Wait, can we have comments from staff? before
Oh,
we-
yeah. Now you want to say it.
You're doing great.
I'm like.
Can't we skip over that?
Jonathan not here.
We do anticipate having cases for you for a June meeting on your regularly scheduled day and time. But I did want to ask about July. Your usual July night would be July 5th, the day after the 4th of July. I would wonder if you would mind if we would move that forward 1 week to June 28th. That would also work well for our zoning ordinance consultants to come and meet with you all to give you an update on the work on the zoning ordinance. If you need to check your calendars, that would be great, but if you could give us just a tentative thumbs up or thumbs down about June 28th in lieu of July 5th, that would be great.
So there'd be the
June,
4th meeting?
June 7th for your regular June meeting, and then June 28th for a rescheduled July meeting. Thumbs up, thumbs up. And then you all can have a nice long holiday weekend. Okay.
Did
We
you tell
will-
my boss about the vacation part?
Yeah, we will confirm that with you via email, but I would expect to have a June meeting where we will probably see a conditional use permit.
This one.
Probably.
What is the next step in this parking lot thing?
They need to submit an application for this will go to the city council for their
Approval.
consideration on May 15th, and assuming that it passes, then they could submit an application the next day for the conditional use permit.
And that would probably be the right time to ask more about the design or,
Absolutely,
Other
because
questions?
we will do our general review with them, and then it will come before you. And you can put whatever conditions you would like on it at that time also.
Are we done? Are you done?
Wait a minute.
Anyone else have anything?
I would like to submit my time to the Honorable Steve Beamer to give his comments in front of the planning commission. Oh, okay, never mind then. Then let's adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we'll hear from Steve. Hurry now, hurry.
I'm away now. The reason I'm here tonight, while Mallory's shutting down, is this a recorded session?
Yes.
Gee, you look good, Steve.
Thank you.
Looking good, man. Sharp uniform.